Hi everybody, I'm Kiwi John. If you're new to my channel, a nice big warm welcome. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. So this video I want to do is just an interlude between my Bali series and my Napier series, but this one is just about the technical side of the camera gear. So how do you become a YouTuber? Because you don't just wake up in the morning and go, I know, let's go do YouTube. Because you need to have the gear, you need to know how to use it and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, for me it was a transition right from when I was a child. The love of photography that I got from my dad. He passed away a couple of years, so it's kind of a legacy that I've grown up with over my life. The love of photography, and of course we progressed down through various cameras and into video equipment, and now of course we're into GoPros and YouTube. So just to give you a rough idea on some of the gear, this is what we used to use. So it kind of started off with an old Russian Zenit 35mm camera with a standard lens. And that was pretty much it. It didn't even have a hot shoe back then. If you had a flash, you had to have a handheld flash, so you'd hold the camera in one hand or on a tripod, and you'd go from there. It did actually have a self-timer, a little self-timer on there, but of course they're a film camera. So we did an upgrade to the next type of Zenith, which is this baby here. So as you can see, it has a hot shoe with a flash on it. In this case I've actually got a telephoto lens. It's a 400mm telephoto lens, so it's quite a good one with various filters and everything on the end. And of course it has interchangeable lenses. There's a standard lens there that comes with it. And then we have an 80 to 200 zoom lens, which was all the rage back in those days, because of course standard cameras couldn't zoom. Then we had a series of 3 macro rings which go between the body of the camera and the lens, and that gets you to do very up close photography. Of course then we have things like this, all the accessories, which we have a steel sunshade that goes on the outside of the lens like that. We also have a rubber one which would go in there like so. But that's good because it collapses down like that and it's easy to store away. So then we move on to this little contraption here, which is a light meter. So you can see on the little gauge at the bottom the amount of light that's being let in. So the dial moves. So that you would then set that up, measure the amount of available light, and then that adjusts. You then make adjustments to your f-stop settings and your timings and all that sort of stuff. Very complicated stuff. And of course we all had to have a proper lens cleaning kit, because the gear that we have available these days wasn't available back in those days, just a kit. Then of course all of that had to then be lugged around. So you can imagine the weight of all of this stuff that we're lugging around. All of this on the table, we're lugging around everywhere we go. So your bag had different compartments in it to keep your gear separated. And of course, you've got all your covers for your cameras and your lenses and cables to connect everything. These are a remote control lens, like it does, pushes a little button out which eliminates camera shake, which of course these days is all built into cameras. And of course, no disconcerting photographer would go anywhere without his trusty tripod. So you've got to have a good sturdy tripod. So, okay, so that was pretty much the start of my real interest in photography, and that's where I went from there. So over the next few years, I went through a whole series of cameras. I'm going to put some still photos on it now. Just to show you the type of cameras and things that I progressed to over the years. One of my favourite cameras was a lovely little Nikon, and I bought that before one of my trips to Bali. And the idea was it was an underwater camera. so I could go snorkeling and do videos underwater or take stills underwater, because of course in the days when I was scuba diving when I was younger, the cameras were huge and you had to have big flashes and all that sort of stuff, and it was a real work of art, and they were expensive, very, very expensive. You'd pay more for a camera than you would for a car back then, so obviously it was out of my league. So of course when I spotted this little Nikon, okay, let's go. And it's a lovely camera for what it is. It's called a Coolpix, and here's a photo of it now. But unfortunately what happens is when you're holding a camera like this one, this is not obviously it, and you want to go underwater and you're swimming and you're trying to hold the camera, you're swimming with your legs and the camera's going like this, so of course you get that horrible camera shake. So this is the best result I could come up with from that Coolpix underwater. So as you can see, the camera shake is something shocking. It was my first ever underwater video of a turtle, so I love it. Okay, so the next phase was a nice little camera like this, a 1080p action camera, and this actually came with a clear plastic housing for doing underwater photography, so I would have thought that would have been great. However, along with that, when you put it in the housing, you don't get any sound, so that wasn't much good to me either. So the next transition was onto one of these, and this is a lovely little camera, and this was actually borrowed for a while from my granddaughter. It belongs to her. So this is a lovely little Sony, and it has the screen on it, so if you want to do selfies, you can turn the screen around and you can look at yourself while you're doing your photography. So that was quite a nice little camera too. So the next progression from there was into the latest era of the GoPros. So here is my GoPro Hero 5 Black. Obviously I'm using another camera to videotape this with, so I will swap in a minute. But along with the GoPros comes a whole series of equipment. Well, you don't get it, you have to buy it of course. So my trusty tripod that I've had for years is now has an adapter ring on it and a cradle, and the GoPro will just sit into it like so. I also have another little tripod which is a very tiny one, and we'll just pop the camera in there. Okay, and this one is an octopus, and this is designed to do things like this. Wrap around a chair or whatever you want to wrap it around, a bar, a pole, whatever you like. So it can sit on there, and it can be, you can put it on a curtain railing if you wanted, or wherever you like. So that's a very, very handy little tripod, and it's only a couple inches tall. So we also have a whole pile of accessories. So there is a chest strap, so you can go hands-free to use a push bike or whatever like that. I've got a head mount, which I don't like particularly, but I do use it from time to time. Now there's all sorts of various different clips and gadgets and mechanisms. That's for handlebars, various different things, cradles to put them in, straps to tether it down, tethers in case the mount breaks or something like that, I suppose, and all of those. So now I'm just going to switch cameras because I want to show you the camera I'm using. So now this is the camera that I was using to take the rest of those photos. This is the GoPro Hero 7, and it's the white version, and it's making all sorts of beepy noises there, and it's doing all sorts of stuff, but that's fine. And my best acquisition for the GoPro that I have found is the selfie stick. I'm just going to retract that back down. So as you can see, it's expandable. You can move the camera this way or that, whichever you want to do. It's brilliant, and I use that the most out of anything. Now on top of all of that, if all of that fails, which it doesn't, then I've always got the camera on my trusty cell phone. And these days, the camera on the cell phones are pretty good. Except, of course, you're not going to use it underwater. Now, of course, the other equipment that I do use, because I do a lot of editing for my videos, is I need a decent laptop. And I use a Video Pad Editor. It's a brilliant program for doing my editing on. I also have a decent set of noise cancelling headphones and a directional microphone for doing voiceovers. So pretty much that is the transition from 0 to Hero 7. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. You may have got something out of it. Don't forget to subscribe, because my new series of Napier New Zealand is coming up in the next week or so. I should have it done. I'm just been waiting for some fine weather. We've had over a week of rain and wind, which doesn't make for good videotaping. So hopefully I'll be able to have that up and running in another week or so. So don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.